What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. And as the name suggests, this is a discussion on, I suppose, the last couple of days worth of developments in terms of communication between community managers on People Can Fly side, between people on Reddit, Twitter, and so on and so forth. Generally speaking, just as a preface, I don't like to make videos like this because the whole thing of, taking someone's post on Reddit and, pulling it apart, or, looking at something that was said on Twitter or something like that and creating like essentially a reaction to that. To me, sometimes I feel like there's too many variables in that. I mean, there could be a language barrier to the person that, wrote it, and, then how it translated onto paper. And I believe that there's a lot of nuance that comes with wording and things like that you can rub people up the wrong way, even though you're not actually saying anything necessarily inflammatory or anything like that. And then, of course, we are all, delicate little snowflakes, and we can, have a fucking off day and you can be a little bit upset. So this is going to be a rant of sorts because it is unscripted. As I said, I woke up this morning, I felt like I had something to say about this. The way that People Can Fly via community managers or whichever communication channels they're using are choosing to communicate with us is strange to me. I think it's disconnected somehow, and what's become apparent to me is that this studio is somehow like completely not what they seem to have been around the time of the demo, and I suppose maybe around the time of just after, the game launched. But in any case, that's going to be the content of this video. Like I said, it is unscripted, so there's probably going to be a little bit of profanity, some F-bombs, but like I said, I'm shooting this one from the hip, and I just, sort of wanted to cover some of the things. But for context, let's step it back, let's roll it back and see. So 2 days ago, there was this, post on Reddit underneath a thread by a person by the name of Phoenix Vanguard that basically said that, that they're dreading the whole drop rate information that has, been promised by People Can Fly Studios, to explain, basically, how drop rates really work and all of that. And essentially it comes from the fact that a lot of the communication that comes from this studio is very convoluted or overcomplicated or not necessarily to the point and doesn't always make sense. So just more of that would just be, useless, to be quite honest. Nonetheless, this community manager, and I'm not going to read the whole thing here, but it is up on the screen right now. But to basically boil down this big post here is that, in essence, the feeling, at least from, and I'm going to say from, I'm not going to keep saying from the community manager and from People Can Fly. This is the avenue that the game studio is choosing to communicate, with us. So I'm just going to say People Can Fly. And if that's wrong, then, so be it. But People Can Fly are essentially saying that the only reason that players are saying that the drop rates are shit is because they don't understand how the drop rates work. But more specifically, every single person could be complaining about a different facet of the drop rates not working. Be it that drop rates on CT12 are shit, but they're okay at 15, or drop rates all over the place are terrible, or drop rates of a certain item are terrible, or there's too few weapons and too much armor dropping. Basically, the point here is that they, in my opinion, are overcomplicating a fairly simple thing. And I know that that's a super broad statement to make, and so I'll back it up by saying this. Their entire loot system, and again, this is because this is the information that's shared with us. The entire loot system is based on RNG, and it's based on a percentage multiplier, let's call it that is affected by the difficulty that you play something on, thereby increasing the chance for something to drop. That is the system. So saying that there's not something that they can change to just overall increase the chance of more legendaries dropping makes no sense to me. Unless I'm reading this whole thing wrong, what they're saying is that it's not just one knob that they adjust, it's multiple knobs. But my question is, I suppose, twofold. One, how come trainers are able to just dump shitloads of legendaries by simply just increasing this multiplayer? And that's essentially what the PC trainers are doing, is they're just upping this chance. Again, that's how I understand it. And secondly, if it doesn't work that way, it doesn't really matter, because the point is all of these things, like, is enough armor dropping, is enough weapons dropping, is enough legendaries dropping at 12, is enough legendaries dropping at CT 14, you know, are enough legendaries dropping in expeditions or in different expeditions. They are all addressed by just increasing the overall legendary drop rate. It's that simple, really. I mean, unless I'm missing something here. And the point is that the game right now, how it works is it's RNG. Legendaries don't drop in any kind of frequency that CT difficulty would indicate that they should. And then it's incredibly hard because damage mitigation is broken, or is broken on certain mobs, or is broken on certain characters, or is broken on certain conditions. You see all of these variables that come in there. So the thing is, if you are going to try and sit back and collect information on every single one of these little things, then and again on the screen right now, you can see how just in the last month the player base for this game has fucking dwindled. The point is that you are overcomplicating, and by you I mean People Can Fly are overcomplicating a relatively straightforward problem that the majority of the player base would agree on, at least the ones that are left. The point is that whether somebody says they want more legendaries at CT 12 or they want more legendaries at CT 15, whether somebody says they want more legendary weapons or they want more legendary armor, more fucking legendary solves that entire problem. And that's what I don't understand, why that's not being seen. And the other thing that really, really probably rubs me up the most about this, and I have to say it's probably the thing that made me record this video in the first place, is this seems like a studio that now wants to gather oodles and oodles and oodles of information to create just the right porridge for just the right situation. Not too hot, not too cold, just perfect for Goldilocks. But the problem is, where was that restraint? Where was that control after nerfing the game fucking 3 days out of the gates after it launched? By reducing damage on certain skills, by doing balance changes on certain things. Where was this information gathering happening then? Where 72 hours to 5 days after the game launched, decisions were made to alter, 25 to 50% of the, like 2 of the 4 characters which you can choose, their abilities based on some feedback from early adopters, people that were, rushing in-game content, that were playing, 24 hours a day and everything like that, and had already created crazy builds and was doing. Where was that? Where was the gathering of the information with that? So it's just, the communication that we're getting from People Can Fly is disjointed. It's disconnected, because the point is, the studio was trying to come across as this extremely competent group of people that have created this very, very complex system in a game which is actually quite straightforward. And then by doing this, they have now either created a situation where they've made this monster that they themselves can't administrate or can't work on, or they just don't want to say that it's not possible, or they're just not gonna fucking do it. And that, I suppose, is the last part of this video. In the last 10 days, I suppose there's a little bit more than that, there's been talk about how successful this game is as a franchise to Squaresoft, and how many copies were installed. And I'm putting all of these, on the screen right now, these milestones that were reached. And one of the comments was that they're so excited about bringing future content of this kind, of this game, of this universe to the players. My ask is, how will you do that if you are not able to administrate the systems in your game, where you can create a patch which universally tanks damage mitigation for your entire player base and drives them away in fucking droves, and you can't correct this after weeks of gathering information? You can't step it back. You can't make a change. Why would you create such a complex system for a game of this kind while not having learned from your peers and your contemporaries like Destiny and fucking Division and whomever, to be able to see that if you're building a system of RNG, but you don't actually allow for a way to throttle or open up the hose or close the hose or whatever the fuck you want to call it to do that, it just boggles my mind. I don't understand it. And the funny thing is, at this point in time, I'd like to say that people might be wondering, why the fuck do you even care? Why are you even making a video about this? This game is dead. The point is that this is a game that I've spent hundreds of hours on, and I can freely admit that there are parts of this game which I thoroughly enjoy. I am not some kind of fucking masochist that would still be playing this game if I hated it. I wouldn't hate to play it. I mean, the views for this game have long since dried up. It's not nearly as good as it was 2 to 3 weeks ago. So the reason why I play the game, the reason why I record something like this, the reason why I discuss these things is because it is a game and it is a franchise that I see, I'm not going to say saw potential, but that I see potential in, and that I want to succeed, even though this is some really weird shit in terms of communication that's going on. Is it a studio that's trying to make something seem more complicated than it is because they just couldn't be bothered to address it? And right now, when active players at certain times of the day are dropping below 2,500, is it a problem that they hope just goes away by itself so they don't have to do anything about it, like the appreciation package, for instance? Or is this a studio that has promised that there's more things to come from this franchise and there's more things to come from this universe? Because that's not what I'm seeing here. In any case, that's it for the video. Thank you very much if you watched it this far. Let me know in the links, and sorry, not the links, but let me know in the comments below how you feel about the situation. Again, like I said, sorry that it was a bit of a rant. It's not usually my thing, but a little bit upsetting. But in any case, have a fantastic day. Have a great morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. And until next video, fucking cheers.
They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me. They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me. They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me.